This program is designed and produced by the community with the support of Cogeco TV.
Hi, it's Mayor Walter Sendzik, and welcome to Our Home with Mayor Sendzik. Usually we're in the living room, but today we've got some special guests that I decided to invite into my kitchen. So we're at the kitchen table, ready for a big kitchen party, because today we're talking about the arts in our community, we're talking about music, and there's nothing better than a kitchen party. So welcome to Our Home with Mayor Sendzik. Today's episode, we'll be talking about the upcoming Arts Awards, but before that, we're going to be talking about a very special choir in our community. And the show will feature Mendelt Hoekstra, who is the Executive and Artistic Director of Momentum Choir. And he's here to speak about Momentum Choir, who is celebrating their 10th anniversary in our community. It is an amazing choir, and for those of you who may not have heard the wonderful sounds of Momentum, you're going to learn more about it today, and there's some opportunities to actually hear the choir in the next couple of weeks. And later we'll be joined by Beth Moore, local recording artist, recipient of the Emerging Artist Award in 2016 at the St. Catharines Arts Awards, and she will be this year's host of the Art Awards, taking place at the FirstOntario Performing Arts Centre, June 5th. So Mendelt is our first guest, and he was born and raised in St. Catharines. He's developed a passion for music from a very early time in his life, performing for a wide array of audiences as early as 6 years old. So this is an individual who understands and loves music. Professionally, he studied music and therapy at Redeemer College University in Ancaster and music therapy at Capilano University in northern Vancouver, which is an amazing place of the country. It's to have music and scenery like that, I can understand. Mental. I don't know, you came back. Thankfully, you came back from there. And he's currently the music therapist at Bethesda Community Services, performing music therapy, outreach, and collaboration with many community support services. So, Mendel, it's great to have you on the show, and you and I have been able to talk, and I've learned so much more about Momentum Choir. But for those at home, tell us just a bit about Momentum Choir and why you formed what is arguably one of the most innovative and unique choirs in North America.
Thanks, Walter. Great to be with you, for sure. And Momentum Choir is a highly disciplined, professionally facilitated performance choir. And where we are unique is that we have more than 60 adults in the choir who live with a disability. And the idea behind Momentum Choir was that I was supporting people through music therapy, people who lived with a disability but were amazing and wonderfully gifted artists. And they didn't have a place, they didn't have a stage to show their craft. So we started Momentum Choir 10 years ago, and we're thrilled. We've gone lots of different places, we've had lots and lots of fun, we've worked really hard, and we love being together and singing.
So tell us a bit about the early on stages. So you formed the choir, 10 years. You know, you look at the origins of anything. In the beginning, what were some of the rough patches that you had to go through?
Sure, we started with 8 people, and like I said, we have more than 60 now. So we started with 8 people, and we worked really hard trying to find out how we can, because we're not a typical choir and we don't sing typical harmonies, how we can layer our shows and layer our music so that the audience enjoys and can get a good feeling of the song and the music and the spirit of what we're doing. And yeah, one of the most difficult parts at the beginning was trying to get people in the seats. Yeah. You know, this is a choir made up of people with disabilities, and people would say, "Why would I come and see that?" And once they were in the seat, they were thankful that they came.
So after the first couple of years, where did you start performing so that the audience is good, so people can come out and see it? So what was that growth like? Where have you been with the choir?
So our performances started to really ramp up after our 4th season. We did a year-end show at the Mendelt Theatre at Ridley College, and it was packed. and the word started to get out. And it was at that time also that the choir grew quite a bit. And now we rehearse every week from September to May. We do approximately 10 shows a year, and our year-end show is coming up, and last year we had almost 1,000 people. So we have really good support here, and it's always interesting to talk to people who see the choir for the first time, and they often say, wow, I can't believe I've never heard of this choir, and it's so great. I'm going to tell all my friends, and I'm going to come again.
Well, I remember this year you played at the State of the City from the Mayor's State of the City in St. Catharines, so mine. And it was wonderful to see that sang the Canadian National Anthem and also a number of songs prior to, just as the crowd was arriving. And it was at the Meridian Center. Right. And it was wonderful to see how the audience responded and how when the choir started to sing, everyone started to get quiet and then listen to the beautiful music coming out. And so in terms of building up the show, how do you choose the music? How do you collaborate with the performers on the kind of music? Because I think describe some of the music that the audience will be listening to, because I've seen the choir a number of times and I love going.
Well, what we do is we learn songs twice a year, at the beginning of the season in September and then in January. So we typically learn between 6 to 8 songs a year, depending on the difficulty and the level of those songs. And what we do is we try to have our public performances with new songs. The one coming up on May 28th has a bunch of new songs that we haven't performed before, so we're really excited about that. And the way we go about choosing those songs is every choir member has their say. So at the beginning of the year, we say, give me a song that you guys want to learn. And then I have a list of 50 songs, and then I look at the sheet music, I see instrumentation, and I see what would work best for the choir, and then I come back to the choir and I say, what do you think of these 6 songs? And they go, yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So one of my favorites was Stand By Me, and last year there was a number of the performers played that, and just to the ownership that the performers take in the music, and they add their own signature to it. So when you're choosing the songs and the performers, explain the learning process that you would take them through in terms of putting the show together and the rhythms and the melodies that go along with it. Because it's different than if you have someone who's trained in music, who's gone to school for music, who's gone through to be a singer or a pianist. How do you work with these performers?
So typically we would listen to the original recording first, and we'll listen to that a few times, and then we'll have our wonderful accompanist Julie Hoff play. Right. And we'll do a lot of rote learning, a lot of repeating. I'll sing a line, the choir sings a line. And yeah, we always add the momentum flair to it. The wonderful thing about momentum is, when you see the singers on stage, there's no smoke screens, there's no illusions. They are there. They are courageous. They're singing for you. They light up with joy and energy when they sing, and it's something that inspires me every week, and I hear often from audience members, this is just such an inspirational event.
So you've used 2 key words, because one of when someone comes to the show, there's on the screen behind them, they'll have they talk about the performers talk about the music themselves. They also have words like inspiration and courage. Because I think what maybe some people would look at is it takes a lot of courage for an individual to stand on the stage and to put themselves out there. And your performers have disabilities of certain kinds of disabilities, so that extra level or that courage. Do they get stage fright? Do they get really nervous? Again, I wonder, because I haven't been backstage yet before a show. But what's it like for them?
So Momentum Choir, we spend about 80% on music learning, and then 20% of the time we spend on non-musical behavior and,
Okay.
and how we can, fight those feelings of, butterflies in your stomach and so on. But in terms of courage, I think there's, when Momentum Choir is performing on stage, a number of things are happening all at once. Disability takes a backseat once the music starts, and the term intellectual disability is used a lot, and intellectual intelligence, and you and I are probably not going to be rocket scientists. So I think there's a ceiling on intellect and intelligence, but there is no ceiling on courage, and the Momentum singers show that very, very clearly. That they live with a disability, they refuse to live isolated lives. They are not going to sit on their couch. They are going to work hard and contribute back to the community in the way that they can.
Wow, and you can see that in how they approach the music and the smiles on their faces. And you've been recognized yourself. In 2013, the Niagara Support Services Partner and Service Award, you were a recipient, as well as 2016, you were Niagara's prestigious YMCA's Peace Medallion Award. And I recognize you have a team that surrounds you to put this on, but you've also taken Momentum Choir, the concept, further in terms of partnering in Buffalo. So explain how, or tell us a bit about how you're taking what you've done as what I think is a very innovative approach to music therapy, and also taking the love of music and putting it on the stage for people to see. How has your learnings allowed you to extend this Momentum Choir brand?
Well, I think there's kudos for so many people. There's kudos for Momentum's hardworking board of directors. There's definite kudos for the singers who work really hard at their craft. But there's also kudos for the St. Catharines community who has recognized Momentum and has not only celebrated Momentum but encouraged it. And we took the Momentum model that has been successful in this area, and we brought it to Western New York, September 2016, and it's flourishing. That community now is experiencing what St. Catharines and Niagara has experienced with Momentum Choir Niagara, and it's my hope, it's my dream that every city has a chance for people who live with a disability and they want to be an artist to have their skills nurtured, and so that they can perform as artists. And there are definite concrete plans right now that we are going to go into other communities.
Well, on May 28th, I want the public to know that there's an opportunity to see Momentum Choir. And will they be playing at what church? Or
Bethany Community Church.
Yeah. And it's a big venue. It's a wonderful stage. So they'll be performing there. And they're also performing at the Mayor's Art Reception, Mayor's Art Fund's reception at the part of the St. Catharines Art Awards on June 5th. So those are some opportunities, as well as online. You can go to momentumchoir.ca.
Yes.
And you can learn more about Momentum Choir.
You can like us on Facebook, sign up for our newsletter, follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, and I encourage the people to do that. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about the Arts Awards coming up. We're talking with Beth Moore, and we're going to talk a bit further with Mendelt about Momentum Choir and artists and what it means to be a part of the community. So stay tuned. Hi, and welcome back to Our Home with Mayor Sendzik, and welcome to my kitchen. We've got a new guest in our little kitchen party that we have going on here. It's Beth Moore, and she'll be throwing a bigger party coming up. Beth Moore is the host of this year's St. Catharines Art Awards, which takes place on June 5th in the FirstOntario Performing Arts Centre. And for those of you who follow and love music, you'll know Beth Moore. She is a local recording artist, recipient of the Emerging Artist Award from the 2016 St. Catharines Arts Award, and she has been performing all over North America for the last decade. She was ranked the CBC Radio's #2 favorite fan artist in 2015 and has had 2 singles on the top 20 charts. She has opened for bands like Keith Urban, Tom Cochrane, Life is a Highway, April Wine. I don't know any of their songs really, but if you were to say some of the songs, I'd probably know them. And as I said, she was the recipient of the 2016 Emerging Artist Award. And Beth has been able to create a career out of music and playing at so many different venues. And Beth, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So tell us a bit about what it has been like touring over the last little while, playing with some key performers.
The last little bit, I've taken a bit of a break from touring, but for the better part of the last 10 years, I was touring pretty consistently. And, you know, it's always fun. I think I'm most at home when I'm traveling. And I love meeting new people. I love going to new towns. I usually just like rent a bike somewhere and bike around and talk to people. And, you know, I just love it. And Ontario, or a lot of Ontario places, I don't know, people are just so friendly, and it's so great meeting new people that come out and hear your music. And there's nothing like playing to a room of people who have never heard you before and expect nothing. And then to kind of hopefully surpass their very low expectations that people generally have with singer-songwriters.
Well, I remember last year when you won the Emerging Artist Award, one of your remarks was, emerging artist, I've been doing this for 10 years, so
yeah,
to become
I'm
an
still
emerging artist, when does the emerging stop? But you know, you're in a profession that has changed dramatically over the past 20 years, and in terms of when you look at how technology, the digitization of music, has created either opportunity or made it more difficult for an artist to become more than emerging, to be on a larger stage.
Right.
So talk about, you're in that curve, right? That curve of where music is going.
Well, and it depends on what kind of music you're playing. You know, if you want to be a folk singer in Canada, then sure, you're going to tour a lot, and there's still that niche for it. If you're looking for a bigger audience and you kind of go in a rock pop, like radio friendly direction, which is kind of, my last album split the difference on that, and my next one that I'm working on is a little bit more that direction. Yeah, the game completely changes, and that's probably why I haven't been touring as much, because you don't need to. It actually almost takes away from it. You need to spend your time, to be honest, on a computer, and you need to spend your time learning how to market yourself that way. Right now, it seems like people aren't going after, you know, the stress isn't, oh, can I press 5,000 CDs? It's, can I get on a Spotify playlist?
I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so the goal is get on Spotify playlists, get on curated lists that people are making. And so you have to spend your time researching and finding those people. And then beyond it, making a product that can do that. And also now, making songs that sound good enough coming out of crappy laptops.
Right.
Because that's where most people are hearing your music, and that actually can cost you more money as an artist, because it now you have to bring in some professionals for sure. You always had to, but making sure the songs still sound good, especially these big songs that pop music tends to bring out, it's a little bit harder than an acoustic track that you would just record in a living room and put on a CD.
So you have someone like Ed Sheeran, who was able to play guitar. He had what do they call the pedals down there? The
loop pedal.
Loop pedals. Yeah. And you look at where he is today, he still does all that loop pedaling. He's got somewhat of a band behind him. That kind of, and he came out of sort of nowhere and played on the streets and worked his way up.
Yeah.
But it's not as easy as it was way back when you had a machine behind you. So I guess for the listeners, because some of our listeners wouldn't even know what Spotify may be.
Right.
How do you and I don't want to use the word monetize, but how do you fund the life of an artist, a musician, through something like Spotify? So it's online technology.
Well, if I had the answer to that question, I'd be somewhere warm. No, so Spotify doesn't pay a lot. But I tell other artists, because I've met people, there's always people like, oh, well, Spotify doesn't pay you enough. Great. But you get 80,000 followers on there, and you're probably going to win a grant.
Okay.
Yeah, because Canada has a lot of granting programs.
Okay.
And what they look at to give you this money to make your projects is how many online followers do you have? How many Spotify hits do you have? None of that stuff makes you money, but it helps you get money.
So they've already, so that's interesting. So from a granting program, they've already adopted that new technology of where people are listening to music.
Yeah, it's much less about how many records you've sold.
Okay.
Like I'm not sure that's a big player in it, but it's how many Twitter followers do you have? How many Instagram followers do you have? And then you kind of get ranked based on your social standing. With some of them, there's still traditional granting programs that you send essays in, and they want to know like your heart behind it. And
okay, so I'm sitting at home and I want to listen to your music, and not going to go to something like Sam the Record Man or HMV or anymore. So I'm sitting at home and I want to listen to some homegrown talent. Where do I go to find your music now?
if you have an iPhone, all you have to do is go into Apple Music and search Beth Moore. Make sure you don't pick the preacher.
Oh, so there's another
There's
Beth Moore.
another Beth Moore.
Who would
And
have
a few
thought?
people have messaged me and been like, your spoken word stuff is depressing. I'm like, that's not me.
You. Okay.
It's not me. It's the pictures with my face. Or Spotify, go to spotify.com. You would have to download that. That can be a little more complicated if you don't already have those systems in place. Or go to bethmooremusic.com. It's all right there. I have it linked for everybody to just stream it and you can listen. I mean, I still sell CDs at all of my shows. You can download it off iTunes and buy it, but the music is available. You can also email me and I will just send you the album. Like, I just want people to. It's been a couple years since it came out.
You're sharing the music, and you're building your fan base. And then, is it true that the touring side, you make more of an opportunity for income to come off touring because you've built a fan base where people come out and then they support your music?
I think some people definitely, but you can also, touring is also expensive. So it depends what you're doing. If you have a really good tour planned out, for sure. I think a lot of people I know are making their money off television and movie placement. That's a big goal. My income has come from radio play. I mean, that's where I found the most success. Like CBC Radio is super kind to their artists, and they've been really lucky with them. They've played my songs a lot. And like at one point, I think they were playing them 5 times a day. And I mean, that just doesn't happen and not something I expected for a relatively local artist. I mean, if I can do it, I really think anyone can do it. I just came from a very humble family in Port Colborne. So I really think when I talk with new artists or very emerging artists, I tell them, like, make radio play your goal right now. And then let's go after that stuff because we need to fund the project. Okay. So the goal for a lot of artists is to find money for the next project. And that's kind of, yeah.
So how do you feel about the support in the Niagara context? So have you felt that homegrown support where do you find Niagara, like we were talking about Momentum Choir, and 10 years of Momentum Choir, the audiences have grown year over year. Do you find that we're a community that embraces music? Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. I would have quit by now if I wasn't from Niagara. People are just so supportive, and they see you as your best, I think. You know, I think there was a time there where I kept bumping into people and they're like, oh, I thought you moved to California. I thought you moved to Nashville. Like, they just assume the best. And every day I bump into people and they're like, I heard you on the radio and I turned it up. And I get so many messages through Facebook of just, my kid likes your album. Nice. And you know, that makes it worth it when someone messages me and is like, my 7-year-old's listening to it nonstop. One, because children are brutally honest and, you know, they'll tell you if it sucks. And 2, I mean, I'm glad that I make music that's appropriate for that age and is fun. And I'm not singing about nothing. I'm singing about things that I think are important to think about and to talk about. And, you know, they're honest songs. And, you know, my niece jokes around that she doesn't like it, but then every so often she's like, "You're my favorite artist." She was actually like, "What kind of music do you play?" I was like, "Folk music." And she's like, "'Cause I tell people you're my favorite, but then no one knows who you are, so I have to explain it." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, so funny."
Well, your music is beautiful.
Thank you.
And Mendelt, I just want to touch on one more example of the growth of Momentum Choir. Your Momentum Choir got to play with Foreigner in Niagara Falls. What was that like?
That was outstanding. We got contacted from Foreigner's management in October, and they said, "We're doing a couple of shows at the casino in Niagara Falls. Do you want to perform with us?" And they didn't have to finish the sentence. And we said, yeah, we did. So we did 2 shows back to back, a Friday and Saturday night, and it was outstanding. It was just such a wonderful feeling. You know, the members of Momentum Choir who are in their 40s and 50s remember Foreigner from their teenage years, and the members of Momentum who are in their 20s, their parents know Foreigner, so they were so excited. So it was just a great experience.
So just imagine that. The Momentum Choir started out 10 years ago on the stage with Foreigner. Beth, you know, emerging artists, and you've been able to play with some amazing Canadian and North American talent, Keith Urban, and it just shows that the arts live here in St. Catharines. And you're going to be, Beth, the host of the St. Catharines Arts Awards on June 5th. So I want people to come out and get tickets for that show. Are you going to be performing?
I don't think so. They haven't told me I am.
I hope you do.
You never know.
I hope you pick up the guitar and play.
Who knows what's going to happen? They could just make me carry a guitar around for the whole thing. Because I'm the only host this year. I think generally it's co-hosted.
Yeah, you're the only host.
But they're probably like, she's shameless. She can do it. So I'm actually really excited. I love audiences and I love performing. I'm not nervous to host at all. I think it's going to be so much fun.
So June 5th, come out and see Beth Moore, and come out and see Mendelt, who has been nominated in 2 different categories. And so we wish you all the best in terms of your nominations, as well as May 28th, you can see Momentum Choir at Bethany Church. And I encourage as many people to come out as possible. Again, the arts is alive and well in our community. Mendelt, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you for what you've done in our community. Beth, you're an amazing talent, and you've got a lot of runway in front of you. So I want people to check out her music and come out to the Art Awards and celebrate the arts in your community. So with that, until the next show, I hope you had a good time at this kitchen party, and we look forward to seeing you out and about in the city. There's a lot going on. The arts are thriving, and it's a beautiful time to explore all that St. Catharines Niagara has to offer. So enjoy yourself until next time.